Lunch and Learn. These luncheons are designed to bring our staff together in an informal atmosphere to share knowledge designed to empower us all. Taking place every second Tuesday of the month, we will get together to learn and share knowledge which we can use in the workplace as well as in our personal lives. Upcoming topics include internet safety and awareness, ethical boundaries, trauma-informed care, situational awareness, lateral violence, weight bias, upstander training, diversity inclusion, the emergency color code system, how to use a fire extinguisher where we'll be outside actually fighting fires. If you think of other topics that you'd like to see presented that you think would be beneficial to us all, please let me know. So we are in a very short time period. We have an hour. So I would like to introduce Adam Polisak, Drum and Sash Coordinator. Adam has been working at Stony House Center for a few months now, out of the harm reduction trailer number 23. I will let him talk about his role at Stony House Services and then share his knowledge on gender identity, expression, and pronouns. So without further ado, here's Adam. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. How are you? Good. Perfect. Welcome to the first Lunch and Learn. Like Brent was saying, my name is Adam. I'm working in the harm reduction trailer, trailer number 23. So my position is the drum and sash coordinator. So with the drum and sash coordinator, it's a program that was created to help communities develop cultural responses to HIV, Hep C, and STBBIs, and also the related mental health and stigma as well. So today we're going to talk about gender identity and pronouns. So if you notice on the table, right, everywhere on the table, we do have an activity that will be coming up a little bit later. It's called the Genderbread Person Handout. There's also markers there. So there are colorful markers. Also, we do have some index cards. So sometimes in some of these topics might be sensitive, or there might be things that you don't want to talk about in public or anything like that. So feel free if you feel. There's index cards on each table, and there's a question box at the back. So if you do have an anonymous question that you just want to know but you just don't really feel comfortable talking about right now, you can put a question in the box at the back. Well, this is going to be a safe environment, so there's nothing bad. Questions are always welcome. We're going to have a big question and answer at the end. Well, feel free to ask questions at that point. Let's respect, diverse perspectives, and, just have openness when coming to these topics. They're very sensitive. So first we're going to talk about biological sex, gender identity, gender expression, and sexual attraction. So what is biological sex? Biological sex is what you are born with at birth. Gender is what you feel, how you feel. Gender expression is how you express your gender. They're all completely different, even though within the bigger acronym, 2S LGBTQIA+, they're all kind of lumped together, but it's all different, so it's all separate. So with biological sex, it's what you're born with. It's what you're born with, your anatomy, which can change for sure. So there is cisgender. So somebody that is cisgender, they are born. They're born in either male or female biological sex. They do identify with their gender with that biological sex. So that's what cisgender is. Transgender is they are born one sex, but they identify as the opposite gender or another gender. Also, there is non-binary, somebody that does not incorporate into any gender. And so I do have a guest. We do have Earl right back here, and he is going to have a quick talk about Two-Spirit. Yes, so give it up for Earl.
Hello everyone. Please don't mind my voice. Speaking with kids a lot and talking with everyone, I'm starting to lose my voice. So Two-Spirit dates back to our creation story when first man and first woman were created. Alongside them was a third being created by, we call him Trickster, or Sanchowski. We were created as a balance between the two genders of female and male. Two spirits, as it suggests, has a male and a female spirit. And there are many roles that go with this name. Like, what's an example? You are not allowed to do some women things. You're not allowed to do some male things. But there are some things you can and can't do. Another example is you're supposed to be there for your people. You're not allowed to say no. You have to be helpful. It's a very disciplined practice. That's why you don't see much. Because you're not supposed to drink, not supposed to go stay out late, be crazy. That's what everyone wants to do. That's life in general. Having fun. It's just human beings. But if you take the two-spirit path, like I know it says it on that flag and whatever, but it's actually supposed to be ceremonial and not something they can call themselves. You can't call yourself a two-spirit if you're out partying every night. It's not allowed. That's not how we were taught. Many two-spirits nowadays tend to follow it after living a crazy young life. And some still don't know what it means to be two-spirit. What it means to be there for your people. That is the teaching of two-spirit. Be the balance between man and woman. Never take one side, but calm the anger. And the old story has said men and women will always fight with each other. The two-spirit is supposed to be there to calm them down. That's where the idea of two-spirit. But this is through the Stony teachings. The tribes in the south, the Dakota and Lakota, have similar teachings. But up here, it's more practice than down south.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I want everybody to look at the handout that is on the table. So we're just gonna kind of go through it all together. There is markers. If you do feel like you want to fill it out, completely up to you. It's definitely optional. So with the gender-bread person, there is 4 different categories on this person. So with the mind, it's their identity. So what they feel, who they are as a person. There is their gender expression, so the clothes, just how they want to express, how people want to express themselves. Attraction, who they are attracted to. And then sex. So you can fill that out if you like. It's up there. Nobody's going to mark it. Nobody's going to take it. Keep it with you. It's up to you. It's just there. It's just to show you that there is definitely a difference. So gender identity. So it's all about, gender identity is what you feel, of course. And if you notice on here, it's a line, right? It's not just one thing. It's a spectrum. So when it comes to a gender spectrum, it can change over time. Say, for example, I'll have a little talk about my own kind of journey, I guess. So I'd say before the age of 12, I did not really think about sexuality, gender, or anything like that. And then, kind of puberty kicks in and all of that. So I identified myself as a gay man, right? So, and then throughout there, like going out, hanging out with people, I don't really feel so much like I feel like a male, but I have no problems, dressing up in drag and doing all of that kind of fun, crazy stuff. But it just changes, right? So it's like, but when I was in the closet as a teenager, there was absolutely no way I would ever even put on a pair of heels, right? Absolutely no way. I didn't want to be associated with anything to do with anything gay. So, but it's changed over time. So even with gender identity, it can change throughout time. Can change for whatever reason, however you feel. Then there's gender expression, which is kind of what I'm talking about when it relates to myself. So I like to just, play around with gender. I'm presenting as male right now. Say if it's Halloween, I'd like to draw. One time I dressed up as like a woman with like birds around her neck and messy hair and all of that stuff to go out. It was a lot of fun. So that was just for fun. So there is people that are drag queens, right? That do express the feminine gender or a non-binary or a mixture of both when it comes to performing in a show and a night out. But there's people that are, say, transgender that do feel like they are the opposite gender and their gender expression will reflect that. So say somebody that is born male and their gender they feel is female, they're female. Sometimes they will express a feminine gender, and that can change over time, right? So, and also same with just biological sex. It is what you're born with, but it can change. Some people can be born, with male anatomy, female anatomy, or a mixture of both, or anything like that. And that's just to say what you were born at, right? So one of the things is when, like say in the morning, like say when somebody's born, and the doctor says, oh, it's a boy or it's a girl, right? That kind of sticks around sometimes. Like in a heteronormative world, that kind of sticks around. You're a boy, you're a girl, but that's just their biological sex. Their gender, they don't know. There's some people that you can tell feel, even at a young age, feel like a different gender. They have their gender expression as something different than their biological sex. At the bottom, it talks about sexual attraction, which is, it's kind of, I'm not going to go too much into sexual attraction because that's definitely something for a different topic. But yeah, so it's about your sexual attraction. What are you attracted to? Are you attracted to men? Are you attracted to women? Are you attracted to non-binary people or mix and everything like that? So, and there is a difference between sexual attraction and romantic attraction. So with all of that together, it all can be a spectrum that can change. I think the biggest thing is it's a spectrum. It can change, and people can. If I say, for example, if I come up and say I do feel like I don't, but if I do feel like I want to be represented more feminine, right, and use she/her pronouns, I will let you know, right. So one of the things that I want to do is a thought experiment with everybody here. So I want everybody to close their eyes. Just close your eyes. And just think about what would happen if you woke up in the morning tomorrow and you were the opposite gender or a different gender. So just think about it. Yeah, just how would you feel? Just think about how you would feel. Everything else will stay the same. So your job, your family's opinions, your friends' opinions, and the only thing will be different is your body. How would you feel? Does anybody would anybody like to share? Or
I feel weird. It wouldn't feel like me.
You wouldn't feel like you. Thank you. And I feel that that's the perfect point, is that some people are born with a different gender. They wouldn't feel like themselves, I know for myself, if I woke up in a female body, I wouldn't feel myself. I would say, no, this is wrong. And people will be calling you the opposite of what you are, right? People will say her or she, and say, no, I'm a man. No, I'm a man. This doesn't work for me. It doesn't work. So if I was in that situation, I would go out and look at hormone therapy and look at gender reassignment surgery and everything like that, because that's how I feel, right? I would feel like a man. When somebody comes up, and we're going to get into pronouns. So pronouns are very, very important. So the reason why pronouns are important is because it's affirming somebody of who they are. It's a respect of that person. So with me, I go by he, him, his per pronouns. So when somebody's talking to me, they could say he, him, Adam, him over there at trailer 23 or whatever. I'd say with close friends and stuff like that, like, you know what, like within the 2S LGBTQ community, so we just kind of have this thing, like, I'll go by she, her sometimes, you know, just like, oh, her over there, oh, look at her. And it's just, that's like a close thing with friends, with my partner, with everybody like that. So that's where that is acceptable. But like, say if somebody is coming up to me and saying, oh, look at her over there, that would kind of feel, oh, they don't really know me like that, right? The importance of that is, like I said, affirming their gender, affirming who they are. Because being in the 2S LGBTQIA plus community, it's hard. It is hard to navigate in, you know, it's not like in the world with being different, because these are things that you think of every day. And it goes with you every day. Like say, for example, you're going down the streets and like say somebody that is, I can only speak from knowing friends, knowing people. So say friends of mine that are transgender that walk down the street and people will just stare at them, or have a comment or snicker or anything like that. Those are things that will stick in people and they'll feel that, you know, and it'll hurt, and it can cause a lot of internal things, or being misgendered, right? The thing about it is it's respect. Sorry.
So I don't know what my gauge is of, like, it's a mouthful, right?
It is.
So where is our marker for what we say now, this day?
I think, you know, it always changes over time, right? And it tries to be as inclusive as possible, but, you know, not really, you know, it's just kind of so 2S, two-spirited, then LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, then Q, queer, IA, intersex, and then asexual. Plus, there's so much more.
I up to like a list of 34 or something, which is fine. But yeah, I mean, maybe this is a piece where we can find another resource to share with kind of like the company, in terms of where do we go for like the updated list, because I hear there's this huge debate now around what age children are allowed to actually reassign themselves, right?
Yes. And I think when it comes to the acronym, 2S LGBTQIA plus is kind of the modern accepted version of that acronym, right? So it tried to include as much as possible, but not. So that's kind of the one that's there. I do have resources I'll get to at the end, but I do have a lot of resources that I'm definitely going to share and kind of get out there. But especially with I want to touch on what you're saying, especially with the government right now. So as you might know or you may not, Daniel Smith announced that they want to ban any kind of sexual reassignment, like any kind of hormone replacement therapy, puberty blockers, or anybody under the age of 17. Under the age of 17, but 17 and 18, there's a lot of different things, like especially with outing at schools. They want people to be, if somebody under the age of 7, sorry, I try not to get into all of this too much on the news, but yeah, so there's a lot of conversation regarding pronouns, regarding school, and regarding learning, right? And it's like, what I feel about learning about it is that when it comes to 2S LGBTQIA plus kind of things within schools, it's like, you know, when I was in school, I was like a young person and I liked the Spice Girls. I liked, Rocky Horror Picture Show. I liked all of these other things that were different. And I did I didn't know it, but I did, I guess, present sometimes more feminine, right? I guess my voice wasn't as deep or anything like that. So I remember getting called a lot of, homophobic slurs growing up in school. That was something that I didn't even know. I didn't even know my sexuality. I didn't know anything at that age. So I was being, called out for something I didn't even know about, right? So, and then of course, when I was in high school, like I was saying before, I was in the closet. I was deep in the closet. I was like, I'm going to do everything I can in my life to be as straight as possible. So I tried to date girls. I tried to have as much distance away from anything that I thought was gay or that would kind of put me into gay, like to, be associated with being gay, right? So eventually, came out and understood my things and all of that stuff like that. But what it relates to it is that I knew at a young age that there's something going on because people at school would call me these names. I knew when, I'd say starting from when I was 7 or 8, I already knew about that. When I had sex ed, they talked a lot about straight sex. They talked a lot about that kind of heteronormative way of relations, sex, puberty, all of that, which I didn't really relate to. Like, not all of it. I didn't relate to it. And I felt kind of like an outcast. And, and it's just kind of like that throughout school. But the one thing I did is in high school, I went to a 2S LGBTQIA plus school in Toronto. And sex ed there, it was like amazing because it gave you all of the information that you need, right? So to try to sum it up, because I think, people need to know this information. There shouldn't be, I don't believe there should be really, of course, when it comes to puberty, when it comes to certain intimate things, sexual things, there's an age limit. There's different ages and stages of life. But I think all of us been through it. We're here, right? So all of us know around this time, this is when I'm starting feeling this is this time, this is that. So these things need to be talked about. And it's not to say, because listen, I do not want, if I had a kid, I would say, I love you for who you are. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe, I don't know, being gay is going to be harder. So maybe, I don't know if I want them to be gay because I want them to be happy. I want them to be easier life because I know how it is to grow up, to navigate the world being different. So, but that my child should know about these things. They should know about, because there's going to be kids there. There's going to be kids in school that are going to feel like their sexual orientation is either gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, everything. So if there's going to be kids there, it needs to be taught so they can have the language and feel comfortable and included. Because it was hard. It was very difficult in school growing up. I actually kept leaving schools because I didn't feel accepted. I didn't feel comfortable in schools. So I just kept leaving. And then I finally got into a school that was focused on drama and acting and stuff, and it was very open. And that was good. And then after that, I went to the 2S LGBTQIA plus school and I graduated there. So by having the knowledge and having the the inclusiveness in the school, because there's going to be kids. There's kids around, people know. It's a spectrum. It is definitely a spectrum. It goes up, it goes down, it can anything, right?
Was your school public funded?
Yes. So the school in Toronto is called the Triangle Program. So it's a Triangle Program. It's focusing on 2S LGBTQIA plus students. It's for more of a safe haven for people to go. And also the education is targeted and teaching about 2S LGBTQIA history, sexual education, safety, all of that stuff, right? And it was great. It was the education that I needed in life because it actually gave me the power to know about myself and to know what I liked, what I didn't like, and all of that. So it's very important to have this kind of education with people. Of course, age appropriate, and of course there needs to be, but I don't believe that there needs, because taking it away is only going to foster an environment of intolerance and hatred, and there's going to be kids there. Like usually, I think what they say is 1 in 10 children, 1 in 10 people are within the community. So there's going to be people, statistically, there's going to be people that are going to be feeling that they relate to one of these genders. So they need to know about it. And the community around needs to know about it so they can, have a great environment, so they can feel like it's a safe space, a safer space. So I kind of touched upon it, like the importance of pronouns. It's affirming somebody's gender, affirming who they are, and making them feel comfortable, welcome, and all of that, right? And there's always going to be the things where, people, we are people, we make mistakes, right? So say even with me, myself, I know all of this stuff, but I make mistakes sometimes. Like say there's some people that they were going by she, then they go by they. And sometimes I go and I was like, oh, how's she doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. So the first thing to do is if you don't know somebody's pronoun, ask them. Ask them their pronoun, right? So that's always a thing. Always just ask. That's the easiest, the best way to do it. Just ask.
Adam,
Yes.
I have a comment. We had people in our community prior that we knew they were men, but they lived the roles of females.
Mm-hmm.
The community didn't really accept that lifestyle, and I know it's still pretty new to us.
Mm-hmm.
In our culture, the way I heard stories was the meaning of two-spirit came in not too long ago to define that. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, the story goes, there was a story from a long time ago. It related to shape-shifting.
Mm-hmm.
And this person, long time ago, he shape-shifted from one animal to the other, or from a human to an animal, to escape the enemies. And they, in turn, said that he had two spirits, the spirit of a human and the spirit of an animal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were called back then.
Mm-hmm.
But then as we move forward, we're starting to use that word to define. And that's how I know our culture was back then. And then in the community, in our community here, some like other religions, like we don't say, well, I'm not saying we hate this, but we've accepted and kind of left it up to the families to do what the disciplining or whatever, eh? So in our community, I think we've come along. We haven't really come a long way. It's still pretty new, but I think we've come to the point where we've accepted the lifestyle, and they're not really shunned anymore. And I think that's the important part to be accepted, and it's up to the individual to accept the lifestyle or not. Before that, we shunned the parent of somebody in that lifestyle, saying that you did wrong, you raised the child like this. But nowadays, it's accepted, and they pretty much, they're left alone now, So all the whispers, they've practically stopped. I, for an example, have Argentina's my nephew, and we've come through that as a family. We had a hard time accepting, but after we accepted and let him live his lifestyle, it doesn't bother us anymore. When we didn't accept it and let it bother us, that's when the turmoil was there. But now we've accepted his lifestyle and let him do what he needs to do. The turmoil is not no longer there. That's just a comment I make.
No, thank you for that. That's definitely thank you. I appreciate it. It's one of the things when it comes to, it's just wanting to be accepted in life, just wanting to be, treated like anybody else, right? And that's it. It's about respect, just respecting somebody for who they are, because, it's, there's a lot of, I come from Toronto, right? And I went around the gay village a lot, right? I would go and, I'd go to the community center and go and hang out and visit friends and stuff like that. There's a lot of people on the street living down there that identify in the community, and that they're 15, 16, 17 years old living on the street because their parents kicked them out. There's a lot of people that, comes with a lot of intersectionality, right? So somebody that is, of color, somebody that is, gay or trans or lesbian, and, of course it comes down to a lot of, getting kicked out of your house, plus you're in the middle of finding out your sexual orientation and gender identity and wanting to transition, but you're also Black, for example, and you have to deal with racism as well, or being Indigenous, you have to deal with racism or anything like that. So there's so many different things, and it's just all about respecting somebody. Because you don't have, the reason why I did the thought experiment, because it kind of gives you a little bit of the understanding of somebody that is in a different gender than what they feel, right? Because there's that complete difference of gender expression, gender identity, biological sex, and then I believe that there's then sex at birth and everything. Even sexual orientation is different, It's completely separate from gender. So there's somebody that could be that identifies as homosexual, that is born a female, but they transition into a male, and then they are attracted to males as well. So it's all different. Everything is completely different. Usually you'll see, there's of course, vast majorities, but so one of the things, so definitely just ask questions. Anybody, just ask them a question. Pronouns, right? Ask people questions if you want to know their pronoun, but also just another thing you can do to be an ally is to just normalize pronoun sharing. So when you meet somebody, say, hi, my name's Adam, I go by he, him pronouns. When you send an email, you could say in your signature, say, for example, mine is Adam Polisak, he, him, from Sash. So you're kind of just showing, it's like virtue showing, and that's creating a safe and inclusive environment for people, right? To just say, I'm accepting, I'm just showing that, I want to know your pronouns. So mine are he, him, what are yours, kind of thing. So it can be in your email, it can be, it could just be anything like that. So definitely the whole entire thing about this is just, with identity and with gender identity and pronouns, it's all very individualized. Everybody feels differently, and if you're unsure, ask questions, and just create an opening space, an open mind, and anything like that. Just to know that, especially within the healthcare profession, you're going to be associating with people that experience, at different time, different genders, that are going to experience sexual orientations, that are going to experience all of these things, right? So it's good to have an open mind and to let people these are just tools to create an open environment for clients, for people around, right? Because it's very scary. It's very, even I could speak for myself too, actually, because it's very scary going to the doctor and saying, hey, you know what? I'm a gay person and I have a question about gay things and my body as a gay person. Is this doctor going to understand and be okay? Is this psychiatrist going to understand if I talk about my partner? What are they going to feel? Are they going to treat me a certain way because I said that? Should I tell them who I am as a person? And those kind of questions and conversations happen in somebody's head every single time they meet somebody new, every single time they have a new service provider, every single time they meet. It's about coming out over and over and over again. People are like, oh, you come out and it's done. No, you're coming out with anybody you meet. And sometimes if I'm, say, walking in a different neighborhood, I won't hold my partner's hand because I don't feel like it would be safe, right? I had this one experience at work one time, my last job, where there's my coworker. She's a traveler, right? She loved to travel around. She goes everywhere in the world as much as she possibly can, right? So, and I'm not really a traveler. I'm not so much of a traveler. So, but she kept talking, and I was like, oh, it sounds nice. She's like, oh, you have to go to Egypt. It is so nice. You have to go to Africa. You have to go here. You have to go there. I'm like, no, it's just not really, interesting to me. He's like, no, you gotta go there. You gotta go. You have to. I forget exactly what it was. There was a bunch of them. But then, so it was like over a day and a half. It was like constantly, you should go there. And I got fed up one time, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to hear this anymore, because do you understand why I don't want to go there? I said, people like me, they throw in jail. They put on like death row just for me being who I am. If I'm found out to be who I am, people are going to try to arrest me, throw me in jail. So I don't know. I'm not interested in going to a lot of places in Africa. I'm not interested in going to some places in the Middle East or in like in Eastern Europe or anywhere. Especially, and like with me, I'm part Jamaican, right? And Jamaica is the country in the world that's really hardcore homophobic, and they're proud of it. A lot of people are proud of it. They have witch hunts on the street. There's a lot of, and I don't want to go back there. I have family there. I don't want to go there. Don't want to see them, right? Because it's unsafe, right? So it's just understanding that, there's difference in society. There's people that have a different viewpoint, a different experience. Everybody lives in their own path, right? And it's just to be open, to be completely open about it. Just to say, yeah, I want to know about you. How would you like me to address you? What would you like me to call you? And getting to know somebody's experience, because it means a lot. So I'd say, for example, when I started working here, I walked up to the harm reduction trailer, and right away there's a rainbow. That's a virtue signal saying that, hey, we're good. We accept people like you. So I walked in and I felt accepted right away when I walked in my first day at work here. And that's something that's very powerful, even though it may seem, it's just a little rainbow there. It was very powerful because I walked in knowing that, hey, they had that thought, and I feel comfortable. And I knew right away when I walked in, I could do that. I met my coworkers in the trailer. Adam is here as well. And just felt accepted. Felt very accepted and very welcome. And I have been feeling very welcome here. So does anybody have any questions?
You talked about allyship and how to support you and things with the pronouns in our emails. Like, what are some other ways? Like, I have coach a lot of kids, and I've had a lot of kids kind of, start conversations with me about being gay or, questioning their sexuality. Obviously, I send them back to their counselors at school and such. But like, and knowing their families and knowing that they're not getting any support at home and things like that. And, you can tell it's weighing heavily on these kids. Like, what's the best way to be supporting people like that? For what I can do in my, to say to them, I obviously say, well, there's a massive community out there, you're supported, it's scary for you right now, but, you're not a bad.
Yeah, and it all depends. Like I was saying, it's about age, right? Like, I would not go up to somebody that is 6-7 years old and start going hardcore into everything I'm talking about right now, because it's scaring people. You're gonna cause so much thing, but you can, like the way that you're saying it, hey, you can, there is a community out there. And just explain it in a way, right? And it just needs to be age appropriate, right? And say, I care about people that are different. There's some people that like boys. There's some people that like girls. There's some people that want to be a boy that are born a girl. And just in different ways, just to explain and give education to people, because people are going to know, and especially if somebody's coming up and asking questions, they want to know and they need that information. So especially if somebody's coming up and asking you, let them know and answer the questions the best that you can. And you can just, with anything that you do, you can just go and like saying your pronouns, saying here's my pronouns, having a rainbow around, and explaining what a rainbow is, saying, hey, you know what, this is a rainbow, this is what it represents. There is so many different types of rainbows, and there's so many different, it does change, and especially when it comes to pronouns, it does change. So it was he and him, and then it was it was he, him, and then she, her, and then added on they, them, and then now there's z, zim, and then there's all these other ones, right, that keep going on. So everybody has the right to identify themselves on how they want to be identified as, right? So all you need to do is just ask, and if you make a mistake, I'm sorry, that's it, and you just think about it, right? But yeah, I think that kids should know, and just whatever, like the best thing to do is look up a lot of information just to educate about it, right? So one of the things that I'm actually going to talk about, like with some of the resources, I found this one, it's called The Gender Book, right? So if you go to thegenderbook.com, it has a really good explanation of every kind of gender that you can think of, any questions, anything. And it's a very age-appropriate resource as well. So it's cartoonish a little bit, but it has a lot of great information. So the book is available for download. It's a pay what you can, so it is free. They say pay what you can donate if you want or not. But yeah, I'd say just educate yourself on just what's going on so you can have the answers and just have it in your back pocket. And especially somebody at a young age, if they ask, just give them the answers that you know, in an age appropriate way. I hope that answers your question. Perfect. Yes.
I have a question because there's something I'm a little bit confused of with the younger generation now having babies. We used to just have baby showers and not necessarily, like at that point when I was having babies, we didn't really know what the biological sex was going to be. Now I'm a little confused because young people now are having they're called gender reveal parties. And what I've learned now from you today, because I was confused about that, I was kind of going, wow, that seems a little bit like going backwards a little bit to me. And then now what you had just explained here about being born and then the biological sex, and then looking then further going into identifying your gender. I'm kind of wondering if you can help me understand that, or what you think about these so-called gender reveal parties.
Well, I hate gender reveal. I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Absolutely hate. Yeah, absolutely hate it because it's a big spectacle that doesn't need to be, first of all, and they're like burning down forests and stuff like that with fireworks, and it's just unnecessary. So I think with gender reveal parties, you're not revealing a gender. You're revealing their biological sex that they're coming out with, right? So I think that's misnamed. Yeah. So you're basically, when I look at it, but that understanding needs to be there. If you're doing a party like that, like people need to understand that when they're saying gender reveal parties, they're revealing their biological gender, right? That doesn't mean that that's their gender. Gender is in the brain. Gender reveal parties is about the parts that you have, right, when you come out. So yeah, I hate it. I don't think it should be around.
It's kind of interesting to me though, because if you're looking at the age demographic of that, and you're looking, later 20s, maybe 30s. Like I know my kids going through school, way more accepting, way more understanding of what everybody's gender identity is in school. There's been great we've had people, yeah, and I've had people in my life that transgendered, and we've had other welcoming things that have happened, and it's been great. Like, and my kids have just been like, yeah, whatever, like just very, but it's that age group, so I don't understand how that's being missed, or how this, like, why
going backwards.
Is there maybe that do they not understand what they're doing?
I think that's a very big, complex question, and I'm going to try to answer as much of it as possible. But how I think about it is that, it's when it comes to acceptance, like you can look at times in life where it was accepted, and then it kind of goes the opposite direction. So it kind of goes back and forth. And when it comes to accepting people that are in the 2S LGBTQIA plus community, it does go back and forth. I find with the internet, it's very much, it's very divided because you have all the information you can never know right at you all the time, and it is the whole point of it is to try to get you to engage, and the thing that gets you to engage is going to be things that are going to make you angry, things that are going to make you feel like scared, right? So there's a lot of rhetoric about, you know, of course right now the biggest issue is people that are transgender and stuff like that, right? And it's just the media. There's a lot of things in there, and people are growing up in very bipartisan homes, right? Some people that are more liberal, some people that are more conservative, and some of those. And it's very trendy. It's very trendy to have the biggest gender reveal party that you can, you know, to have a big spectacle, to take photos, to put it online, there's just so many different layers to that question. I wish I knew a better answer, but...
So it's okay to be confused.
It's okay to be confused, absolutely. And it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to accept it or deny it. But I think that, you know, having a gender reveal party, as long as you know, and having more... I would say, you know what, everybody has the right to celebrate having a baby. It's such a big thing, and it's amazing, and you want to do everything that you can to just say, you know, celebrate. Having a gender reveal party, it could be having, I don't know a name for it, like what it could be, but
Way back when, it was just like, way back when. It was just a baby shower.
Yeah.
Like, it was just simply a baby shower. There was no one or the other. I kind of was like going, wow, maybe back then we actually, for all of our, you know, we were not. At least back then we were actually just doing baby showers. Like, it wasn't like a, you know, maybe we can just go back to that.
Yeah, exactly. You could go back to that. It could be going to say, hey, we're gonna reveal our child's biological sex.
Yeah.
Gender will come later, but we'll have a biological sex reveal party or something like that.
Yeah.
And to have that separation between it, because it is completely two different things, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to touch on, and it is my opinion, but it's a lot. Oh, thank you so much for coming out. When it comes to treatment and stuff for minors, right? Knowing what I know, and like with a lot of experience in my education and all of that stuff, they make it kind of seem like kids under 18 are getting surgeries left and right. That does not happen all the time. It's very, very strict. It's like you have to go through so many things. So much parental permission, so much like seeing therapists, doctors, everything like that to even be considered for it. On top of that, if you're a minor, so much parental stuff and everything like that. So when somebody is going through any type of surgery under the age of 18, it has been scrutinized for multiple years, right? The one misconception is that they always in the media make it seem like it's happening left and right. Almost rarely happens. One of the things that does happen a lot is it's called puberty blockers, right? So puberty blockers just delay puberty for somebody that is, you know, if that is questioning their gender before puberty, it kind of just stops puberty. Just so they have time to explore what they want. Because say with the puberty blockers, when they actually say in years down the road, they decide that they do want to transform, like they do want to get gender reassignment surgery, that it's an easier process and it's better for the body, it's better for a lot of different things, right? Because they're not developing they're like developing within puberty, right? So it just kind of delays puberty. Say for example that person, like a couple years later, they're like, no, you know what, I'm good with me. I realize I just want to be the same thing. Just take them off puberty blockers. There's no side effects or anything like that, and then puberty just starts, probably at a rapid rate, but you know, it starts. And it's such a non-invasive way to just give somebody, a young person, time to decide what they want to do, right? And decide how they want to, if it's something they want to pursue or not. It's about just having that option open. By taking that away, you are creating somebody that's, say, 11, 12 years old that is questioning their gender. Then they're starting to develop breasts or get body hair or, starting their menstruation cycle or anything like that. They're starting these things that are happening to them, but they don't like it because it's not their gender inside. It's an opposite, and it causes more psychological damage to them or psychological trauma. And then when they do decide to go and get surgeries and stuff, it is more complicated. It's a more complicated process because their body is developing within that gender already. So puberty blockers, I think, it's important to have for young people that want to just delay it. And because the reason why I think that, because there is not really, it just kind of stops puberty for a bit. And then puberty can come back when time is right, when they decide. But it gives people time, and it gives them a safer alternative. So when the government and everybody's saying, no, we want to protect children, but it's like, no, it's not anybody is going to go and get on these things unless they want to, right? It's not throwing these things to anybody. It's to have the option there if somebody says, hey, let me go look at that, I hope I answered it. Okay.
Oh, yeah, actually, it's kind of what I was thinking too, so, like, I was confused about it.
Yeah.
I was confused, I was wondering, where is that going, why is that happening?
Yeah, it's something, and that's the thing that's gonna happen. Like, there was a big renaissance, like with like a lot of in the media with queer content, like RuPaul's Drag Race and a lot of other singers and performers and everything, with Lady Gaga advocating and all of these things. And it's that period that's happening, and then it's kind of going a little bit with governments having laws against queer people, like in the news. There's so many different things, and people are getting into it and like saying, yeah, no, I don't like this, and especially Donald Trump, when he came out, when he was, saying a lot of stuff that he was, a lot of people were turning, and it's like okay for people to speak out against it. One of the biggest things, one of the last things I'm going to say is that, it's one of the things where, people, I believe people have the right to their freedom. People have the right to do what they want, to live how they want, to say and think what they want. Everybody has every right to do so. But don't hurt other people, because, by taking away stuff from other people, you are taking away their freedom to think and to be and to express themselves, express their gender, express their sexual orientation or anything like that. They're just to express who they are as a person. So I don't feel that anybody has any right to tell anybody what to do. So, anybody can think how they want to when it comes to these like sexual orientation, gender identity. You don't have to like it. You don't have to. If you don't like gay marriage, you don't have to get gay married. If you don't like transitioning, you don't have to transition. If you don't like hormone replacement therapy, don't get on it. It's fine. But it's good to have these options there for people that need it, because there is going to be people are always going to come out. There are always going to be gay people, lesbians, bisexuals, transgender people within the queer community. It's always going to happen, and having the resources there and the knowledge and the acceptance makes it a friendlier place for everybody, right? So I just want to say thank you so much for coming out and listening to me. I know I go kind of, I hope I answered questions. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can put them in the box, and I will get an email to be sent out with answers to any questions. But thank you so much for your openness coming to this discussion.